Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Good morning, Bryan College Station. Welcome to the Wednesday, June 10th edition of TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Inside the Rollo Insurance Studios, I am Ryan Brauninger, filling in for David Nuno. Is out for a couple of days. He's got the kiddos with orientation at Texas.
Some kind of.
I think it's at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So he's got kid responsibilities. So you've got me today, Nick in the host chair tomorrow. As always, to my left, during the go hour, the velvety, yummy tones of Olin Buchanan. Velvety East Texas accent.
This is all East Texas radio.
Let's pause right there. Okay. I'm not from East Texas. Let's set
You're
some
from
boundaries.
Southeast Texas.
Exactly. Very different.
Yeah, you're beneath us. Geographically, politically.
Politically.
Every way possible, you're beneath us.
Okay. Well, if you and I, all right, well, let's just say that we are at the top of the
Okay,
rung.
you got us on weight. I'll give you that.
Well, it's probably.
And you're a better baseball player.
Me notwithstanding, but I would bet the BMIs of East Texas and Southeast Texas are not on the quality of life scale, but they're probably pretty close. Like neither of them are in the desired area of BMI.
And up in Northeast Texas, we're more into IBM. We're more intelligent. IBM, the computers.
I thought that was some sort of.
See, there's a computer company. It's called IBM.
I do know that, but that's not the. When I think of you making acronyms, that's not where my brain goes. I never I don't associate you.
Where does your brain go?
Well, if I'm around you, it's the gutter. I can tell you that.
This is very, very troublesome that we are together and take things where they often go when we're doing the show together, and we have a new member.
We do have a new member. We'll get to what's going on in the social center today because I think a lot of people are going to be very excited to see who our social center personality star is today. Yeah. But before we do that, we go behind the glass. Calling balls and strikes today, Mr. Reese Nygren, with the associate head umpire right to your
to my right.
To your right.
To my
Nick
right.
Savage peering over Reese's shoulder this morning. Good morning, Reese.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good. Did you get to bed in time, or were you up watching Braden Montgomery?
I was up watching Braden Montgomery and saw the incredible walk-off. That has to be like a top feeling of all time, having your Major League Baseball debut end in that way.
Sure. We're going to talk about Braden for quite a bit because one of the topics that I have written down on today's show here in the Go Hour presented by Maroon U, the warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon has never looked so good. One of the topics that I had written down that for Olin and I to discuss was about greatest transfers in the history of Texas A&M athletics. And it just so happened that I came up with that last night after watching Braden hit that walk-off home run. Again, we'll get into that. And then this morning, who walks through the door to be our social center personality today? Legitimately, I did not plan this. In her TexAgs Live debut, Miss Kendall Stowers.
Good morning.
Kendall, good morning. You have the unfortunate debut of sitting in here with Olin and I. This is going to be less professional than it probably should be.
You got some East Texas background in you, right?
Not quite. Just
Southeast
north.
Texas.
Just north. Yeah, southeast. Beaumont, a little bit.
I was like 2, if that counts.
So
this is your background.
If my body mass index shoots it through the roof,
yeah,
hers we even it out.
Even out statistically,
yes.
Southeast Texas is pretty fit.
Listen,
Yeah.
and though I don't look like it, I would have to say that Southeast Texas now has, if we can claim Kendall as Beaumont, which I don't know that we can because you grew up in Dallas.
I've been in Dallas since I was in kindergarten, so.
Okay. So I can't really claim, but if I could,
Yeah.
I could stake a claim to Southeast Texas having the best athletes in the TexAgs
Well,
office.
if where you're born is the key there.
Yeah.
You were born in Killeen, though.
Yeah.
Killeen.
She
Colleen's
was
kinda
a
central.
state traveler. Her
Yeah.
dad was a coach.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he coach the Kangaroos of Killeen High?
No,
The-
he was at, I don't even
was
remember,
Ellison.
actually.
Ellison
Maybe?
Eagles? Killeen Ellison Eagles?
No,
the
they weren't
Copper's Cove? Whatever.
Bulldogs.
Are they the Bulldogs?
Killeen Shoemakers, Seawolves.
Shoemakers were new. Shoemakers came after I left.
Kendall,
Should they be not Shoemaker be the Cobblers, by the way?
that would make sense. Kendall,
sense.
welcome to TexAgs. How have you liked your internship so far?
Oh, I loved it. I've loved it. It's been so fun. I obviously love sports. I mean, I do it every day. My family does it every day. So I get to get on here and just talk about sports every morning and actually have fun with it. Saw that Brauninger was leading it. I was like, oh, this is going to be a joy.
I know, it's going to be a disaster. I spent a lot of time with Coach Morrison a couple of days ago. He's fantastic. He's the best. Have you gotten to a point, though, because you win a national championship and like now you're the returning – you're one of the leaders of the volleyball program. I think that's safe to say. But have you gotten to the point now where you're like, you're not Eli's sister?
Yeah.
Like people go up to Eli and they're like, aren't you Kendall Stowers' brother?
Oh my gosh. So he literally, it was like a year ago, I think, for the first time he called me and he was like, Kendall, you won't believe what just happened. I'm like shocked. It was the craziest thing. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I thought it was gonna be some crazy story. He was like, I was at the mall and someone came up to me and was like, your sister plays volleyball, right? Like, aren't you like Kendall's brother? I was like,
that.
and he was in shock. I was like, Eli, that's happened to me every day of my life up until this point. So I'm glad you got to experience a little bit of
That's
it.
great. That's great. Well, put Kendall to work in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center over there, 979-693-1150. If you want to get involved with the show, you can text us. You can comment on the YouTube page, the Catalyst Pure Performance text line. As I mentioned, the Social Center presented by the Angry Elephant. This is the NASCAR hour. It's the Go Hour / NASCAR hour. And I hesitate to even bring up the word NASCAR because you're
trading paint.
Well, yes. What I have found, we
Drive
have
fast, turn left.
Did you know that we have a NASCAR expert in our office?
An expert?
A super fan.
What, does that make you an expert because you're a super fan?
Well, he acts like he's an expert. I try to give him
Is that Nick?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Nick looks
And
like
yeah, and he's uppity about it too.
He
I try to
looks
give
like Ricky Bobby's dad. His middle name is Walker, and then he has Texas Ranger.
Well, I try to give him.
See the movie Ricky Bobby? Yeah.
Yes, Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
I try to give him my opinion on NASCAR. My father-in-law is a big NASCAR guy.
Okay.
But then every time I try to talk to Nick about NASCAR, he like blows me off, acts like I'm trolling him. I'm trying to get into the sport. He's gatekeeping. He doesn't want anybody else in TexAgs to enjoy NASCAR the way he does. So maybe we should get Nick in here. Nick can only read all the ads that David's got through the first hour of the show. We just cut over to him. He's got a jacket on that's sponsored by Pennzoil.
I think somebody needs to put like a NASCAR jacket or something for TexAgs with all of TexAgs sponsors.
I told David, how cool would that be if we had like a model NASCAR on the desk with all of the sponsorships for the Go Out?
Model nothing. Let's get a whole car.
A whole car?
Don't they make those over at Texas A&M, right? They designed one.
They did design one.
Do it for us.
I'm not allowed to talk about it, though, because that's Nick's area of expertise.
Believe it or not, I do have a couple of those jackets, they were from when I was a kid, but I have the Jeff Gordon DuPont one, the Dale Earnhardt Mountain Dew one. They're pretty sick.
NASCAR's never been the same since Richard Petty retired. King Richard.
Hot take. Reese, does Nick have a response to that?
Nick, do you have a response to that? He said he said OB's right, and it hasn't been the same since Earnhardt died.
Oh, rest in peace, Dale.
Number 3.
All right, OB, let's get into it today. last night, Braden Montgomery makes his Major League Baseball debut. An incredible life moment for one of the all-time great Aggies, even though he only spent a year at Texas A&M. He comes up, he has an RBI single in his second at bat, and then comes up in extra innings with the White Sox down 5-4 and hits an opposite field home run to walk off and win the game for the White Sox. You're seeing it if you're watching live with us here on YouTube or on TexAgs.com/live. You're seeing it now in picture. It was retro 80s, 90s night, so you get the old school graphics on the overlay of Braden rounding the bases. And only the 5th time in Major League Baseball's entire existence that a walk-off homer was hit by a man making his Major League Baseball debut. Braden Montgomery will forever now be etched in baseball history as one of those 5 guys to ever have done that. I can't even imagine what that must have felt like for him, but also his family.
Oh, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Gretchen, his mom. You know, she's always active on Twitter, and she was again, and she's a lovely lady. So I'm happy for everything. But I got to admit, my first thought when I saw that was, damn, it only happens to A&M. If that guy doesn't break his ankle, you probably have a national championship here. I'm just going to say it, right? I mean, you take that bad out of A&M's lineup, and they still came a run from winning the college.
They lost by a run in the Game 3 of the College World Series Finals.
That I have to admit, I'm happy for them, but that's what came to my mind. Call me selfish, okay? I don't care. That's where my mind went.
It's interesting that that word selfish was also prominent around the end of that baseball season. If you'll remember, a TexAgs employee got called selfish in the aftermath of that. But it's interesting that you bring up.
I mean, he could really swing it, couldn't he? I mean, I'm talking about Montgomery now, and he showed it again last night.
Yeah, he can do that. He can definitely hit the baseball, and he
can swing. There's a lot of people there to watch too. I was glad to see that. What are you laughing at?
I'm trying to keep it on the rails here.
He swung so hard it went all the way.
Congratulations.
And all those people there to see it. Clap for him.
Congratulations to Braden.
Awesome, Braden.
And hopefully the start of a long, illustrious Major League Baseball career.
But I can't help it. I'm selfish.
Full of moments like that. And
I want to see it here.
We talked about this a little bit on B Team yesterday. It is a bit like, and Aggie fans gave Texas Longhorns a hard time because it was forever if Colt wouldn't have gotten hurt.
Yeah.
If Colt wouldn't have gotten hurt. So.
But the difference is Colt got hurt in a championship game because he chose to run and try to. I mean, it's not if he had gotten hurt before and wasn't able to play in the championship game, then I feel bad for him. But when Marcel Darius just knocks you the hell out, that's part of the game.
He did do that. And that A&M baseball team, it just goes to show you the resiliency they had. They didn't lose at all during that postseason until they got to the finals against Tennessee. And that was also, there's a what if about Braden, but there's also the what if about Shane Sadeo, who was pitching incredibly well and got hurt in that super regional against Oregon. But the Omaha 8 will start play this week. Texas A&M not involved. There's only, over the last 3 years, there's 24 teams that go to, 8 teams that go to Omaha every year. Mm-hmm. The last 3 years, that's 24 teams. Only one of those teams has been there twice. So 23 out of 24 teams are new. They've only been there once in the last 3 years. North Carolina was there in 2024, and they're back again in 2026.
I thought North Carolina got beat by Oklahoma.
No, North Carolina is – no, you're thinking –
No, they beat USC.
Kansas,
My bad.
Kansas lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah, they beat USC. They came from behind.
And that was an incredible series. I mean –
yeah, I thought USC had it.
I did too. And USC
Oklahoma beat
Kansas.
Georgia Tech in the first. That's the
Georgia
ACC.
Tech in the regional, yes. So the number 1 overall seed, UCLA out. Number 2 overall seed, Georgia Tech out. When you look at the SEC teams that made the field in Omaha, 5 of the 8 teams in Omaha are from the SEC. One side of the bracket is all SEC teams. And when you look at where those teams finished in the league, I think it is 1, Georgia, 2, Texas, 4, Alabama, and then 11 and 13. That's where, 9 and 11. Ole Miss finished 9th. Is that right? Oklahoma finished 11th. I think that's me going off the top of my head. But it just goes to show you that baseball is such a funny, and basketball, I think, too, when you get into a single game elimination type of setting in basketball, anything can happen. That's why you see so many upsets. But baseball, the game itself is kind of perfectly imperfect, in my opinion. So you get these outcomes that, I mean, UCLA won 53 games in the regular season. Yeah. By far and away the best team in the country.
Seattle Mariners of college baseball.
They could be. And then you have Georgia Tech, who looked like an unstoppable force the way they were swinging the bat. And against an Oklahoma team that played the best baseball in the country, perhaps, for the first 3 weeks of the season, and then kind of really roller coastered their way into the postseason. Weren't like a lot to get into the postseason at one point. They had to kind of rally and win a few games late just to get in, and now they're going to Omaha.
Maybe they're this year's Ole Miss.
And Ole Miss is
even though Ole Miss could be this year's Ole Miss.
And Ole Miss, they were a 2 seed. They went to Nebraska to win a regional. And then they go to Auburn, an Auburn team that a lot of national baseball pundits, not just Richard and I, but a lot of college baseball pundits had Auburn. Like, you watch them play at Bluebell, and then you watch A&M play them in Hoover. You're like, man, this team is
stacked.
They're really good. Yeah. And they can really pitch. Their offense was functional. They moved the line, and you felt like that was going to be enough to get them to the College World Series. And Ole Miss goes in there and beats them in 2 games. It's just funny how all this stuff happens. And Alabama hadn't been to Omaha in over 20 years. Alabama's head coach Rob Vaughn, who I think very highly of. Rob Vaughn, I think this is can you look this up, Reese? I think Rob Vaughn is in his 8th or 9th year as a manager. Had never gotten out of the regional round. He was kind of his feet were getting put to the fire at Alabama about, hey, at some point we need you to break through here. And now he goes to Omaha for the first time in his coaching career. It's a really interesting field full of
I wonder
some blue
if the previous
bloods,
Alabama coach is going to be betting on the Crimson Tide this week.
Well, that's funny you bring that up because I don't know where Brendan Sorsby's at this summer, but if you go to Omaha, Nebraska, all you got to do is cross the river and you can.
I know. I've crossed that river into Iowa more than once to, play a few hands.
Or play some bets.
We're
up against the commercial break. Reese, did you find? You did not?
Did you even
Reese just gave me this. Okay, we'll look at it in the commercial break when we come back. A lot more to get to, including Texas A&M's all-time best transfers. Where does Kendall Stowers rank in Texas A&M's most heralded transfer athletes of all time? A lot more to get to. Just getting started here on a Wednesday morning on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, rolling right along on a Wednesday morning. TexAgs Live presented by David Gardner's Jewelers inside the Rollo Insurance Studios. Ryan Brauninger, Olin Buchanan, Kendall Stowers in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We would typically be in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
Cool Zone.
But I am not cool enough to step over there.
Cool Zone travels. It goes wherever you are.
Well, that's where we should put Nick Savage in the in his NASCAR, in his Pennzoil NASCAR jacket, right over there in the Cool Zone. Because that NASCAR jacket makes him really cool.
Okay. Is the jacket cool or is Nick cool?
No, it's the jacket.
Okay.
Nick's not cool.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't hang that much around him. I know he's got a baby on the way. That's pretty cool.
That is cool. Congratulations, Nick. I don't think on air I've ever congratulated you about that. I've made the joke, he's having a baby girl. And so I said, if for whatever reason, if you get a knock at your door in 16 years and it's my son there to pick up your daughter, you slap him in the face first thing you do.
Huh.
I mean,
Well, if he's anything like you,
That's
first
what
of
I'm
all,
saying,
can Nick reach up and reach?
oh,
his
it
face?
doesn't matter. Punch him in the gut.
Were
That's what
you
do.
that bad?
No.
So was that Brooks and Dunn song that we came up to that bump music? Was that like your theme song? About
Brand New Man?
About leaving them and
Oh,
loving
no.
Loving them, leave them, Brauninger.
No, that wasn't like that at all.
L&L Brauninger.
See, this is the thing when Olin's in here. Like, I will, you can suck me into your vortex. You can pull me into your vortex.
I don't want you in my vortex.
And
you stay out of my vortex.
Okay, then we need to get back on topic. Best transfer athletes in Texas A&M history. We started because
Kendall Stowers, of course.
Kendall Stowers is on the list for sure.
They won a national championship.
They made me
go watch volleyball.
She has something, Kendall, you have something that a lot of the athletes on this list don't have. And because you have a championship ring, there is, like, you could legitimize that conversation as you being the greatest already. But I hope you win a couple more.
Yeah.
Me too.
However long you're going to stay at Texas A&M, and who knows how long that will be now with eligibility. Like we were talking in the break, what is the NCAA even anymore? So if you wanted to play at Texas A&M for 9 more seasons, I hope you win 9 more championships.
I know this. I'll be rooting for her team a lot more than I'll be rooting for her brother's team.
Oh, yeah. He's a huge Cowboys fan.
I know.
It's okay. So
Sadly.
A little bit of rivalry in here. You should come in on if you are hosting or you're in the social center the Monday after the Eagles play the Cowboys.
That would be crazy.
And the Eagles win. I'd love for you to have some, maybe an Eli Stowers jersey on.
Oh, I will.
Let Olin have to sit there and look at that.
In a perfect world, Eli becomes All-Pro, gets a huge, contract, All-Pro on an 0-17 team.
Well, it's funny because Eli would probably make the list of greatest transfer athletes in Vanderbilt history now.
And then
he and Diego Pavia.
Yeah, probably. The people always, not always, typically just take the quarterback first, even though one got drafted pretty high, one didn't get drafted at all.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
This isn't a Diego Pavia bashing session. We're just talking about the greatness of.
Is it bashing when you're just talking
the truth?
Yeah, facts.
For Texas A&M though, we put Kendall on the list.
I would have loved to have seen Eli playing tight end at Texas A&M.
Oh, for sure.
Me too.
For sure. But for Texas A&M all time, you think about great transfers across all sports.
Does it have to be from another major college or junior college?
Well, that's up for debate as well. Kendall seems to think that junior college transfers are indeed transfers. So if you bring that group of athletes in, I think it also broadens the discussion. It broadens the scope of who we're talking about. But just recently, obviously, we talked about Braden Montgomery.
Yeah.
Would have to be up there.
Absolutely.
Perhaps the greatest baseball season we've ever seen at Texas A&M by one player, and it was Braden Montgomery. I think you'd have to put KC Concepcion in there.
Yeah, I think so.
After what he did.
All-American.
All-American, just game-changing plays to lead Texas A&M to the playoff for the first time ever.
Yeah.
I think KC's probably safely in your top 5.
Well, probably. I have to really think on it, and go back. And
so when you go back, and I could be missing some guys, maybe pre-2000, Robert Ferguson was a transfer, junior college transfer.
Yeah.
And for the longest, he was thought to be the greatest transfer player in Texas A&M football history.
Patrick Bates.
See, I didn't know that. Patrick
UCLA.
was a. So there's going to be some athletes that predate even my time following Texas A&M, but I think I would put KC past Robert Ferguson now.
Oh, I would. Yeah.
And Robert Ferguson was great,
player,
but was on a kind of a bad team, but was a standout receiver, one of the best in the Big 12.
Exactly what I want for Eli Stowers.
And if you include junior college athletes, was Danielle Adams a junior college transfer?
I think she was.
If she
I wasn't here at the time.
I think you'd have to include Danielle Adams in this list, another national champion. What about Evan Oschenbeck?
I didn't even know he was. Oh, because he played Blinn. Yeah, I mean, he was the
stopper of the year.
Yeah, he was
perhaps the greatest relief pitcher in Texas A&M history.
Yeah, great player.
Are we missing anybody that's obvious? We'll check the chat.
Yes,
here.
we are. We're missing some. I thought we were talking about junior college guys, and I know they didn't win, but man,
Josh
Quentin
Reynolds.
Jackson.
Who? Quentin Jackson?
Yeah, Josh Reynolds. You're right.
Dexter Dennis was a great player.
Dexter
transfer.
Dennis.
Boots Radford.
Boots. I mean, there's so many of them in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Nebo.
Josh Nebo's a good player, but I think he'd be a rung below all those other
I'm
basketball
not saying
guys.
he wasn't.
We're gonna talk basketball actually because they started back with summer practices, and Luke's going to come in here for a segment, and we're going to talk Aggie basketball in the 9 o'clock hour. But I'll be interested to see kind of how he rates all the transfer basketball guys that have been, influential in A&M's kind of resurgence as a basketball program, going all the way back to Billy Clyde Gillespie, which is really kind of where they reset the.
Logan Lee.
Logan Lee would not make my top transfer athletes, even
well,
though
if you said top Asian transfers, I think he's number one, unless there's somebody in tennis or golf.
You're number one, Logan. In Olin's rankings, Logan Lee is number one, and I can't think of a better way. Jay Sternberger, good shout.
Sternberger,
Jay Sternberger,
outstanding,
great 1 year transfer. All right, when we come back. We are going to dig in a little bit more to what's happening in college sports with this Brendan Sorsby situation, as now more and more college athletic directors are moving and urging their programs not to schedule Texas Tech in any sport. So a lot still to get to here on the Go
Stowers,
Hour.
what kind of odds did you get on the volleyball team?
Don't answer that. We're going to commercial. We'll be back on TexAgs Live.
Hey everyone, David Nuno here of TexAgs Live. I want to introduce you to the team at Holistic Planning. Got Jason Barber here, Taylor Pankratz, and also Paul Meredith. Jason, I want to start off with you. What really sets Holistic Planning apart from the others?
Yeah, so what makes us different is most financial advisors stop at investment management. On the other hand, Holistic Planning, we manage investments, taxes, and estate planning all on one team, all underneath one roof.
Now, Taylor, when everything is coordinated like that, it really helps the bottom line, doesn't it?
It really does. When your investments and taxes are working together, you stop leaving money on the table and keep more of what's yours.
Paul, Holistic Planning is trying to expand as well.
That's true. We just opened our Houston office, and we're looking for people who feel like their advisor isn't seeing the full picture, because that's exactly what we fix.
And Jason, there's other opportunities beyond that.
Definitely. If you're a financial advisor and you want to join the Holistic Planning team, we're looking to add 50 teams in the next 5 to 10 years. So check out holisticplanning.com/advisors.
All right, so if you want a team that actually coordinates everything, go to holisticplanning.com. Aggies, this one is worth it.
Welcome back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studios in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Miss Kendall Stowers has some response to, we inevitably, we were going to have some huge misses in our conversation about greatest transfer athletes in Texas A&M history, and we did. So, Kendall, enlighten us who we missed.
Aaron Glenn and Boomer White were two big ones that we did not hit on.
For sure. Both of those would have been.
So you're asking me who was the who's the best all-time transfer at A&M? I want to know what Stowers is going to say. Stowers, who's the best all-time transfer in A&M sports history?
This is hard. I feel like I'm not allowed to answer given that I'm in the discussion.
No, you can say anybody. You can say anybody.
Yeah, you're going to take the humble way out here?
Who's the best?
I mean, we were saying earlier, of a lot of them, I am one of few that has a ring. Well, we'll have a ring. We actually haven't gotten it yet, but
you won a national
championship.
Win
that, so I guess I'll go.
So who's the best?
I guess I'll go with me based on that. Based on that stat. Based on that stat.
The arrogance of Kendall Stowers.
See, you can't let Olin. He'll paint you in a corner,
I know.
right?
Me and OB are going back and forth over here today.
When did it kind of settle down after y'all won it? Like, was there ever a time where it felt like, all right, now I'm back in like a normal routine? How long did that take?
When I went home after school ended in May.
So you got it.
The entire semester. I mean, literally the day before one of my finals, we went to Washington, D.C. So that was like the end of the school year was the last kind of event that we had. So literally once school had ended and I went home and got to like chill, hang out with my family, was like, okay, well, I'm just a human now.
So you feel like the page has been turned now, though, that you're back?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I want to know, when did you know, in your heart, that y'all were the best team in the country?
In my heart, I would say like before the season ever started, I think we were sitting there talking about it and I was like, honestly, yeah, I think this is 100% gonna happen. Like I felt like it was a pretty strong possibility, but then like on paper, like, oh, we're the best team in the country when we beat Nebraska.
Okay.
For sure.
Well,
because you were on the team.
Because she's the greatest transfer.
Greatest transfer in history.
Well, it would have been smart to bet on the Aggies volleyball team in preseason.
I'm surprised Sorsby didn't. I bet he did.
Over
9,000.
9,000
on Nebraska.
Yeah, probably. He a habitual gambling loser, which I think most people are that gamble a lot. But
wait a minute. You're saying people that gamble a lot are losers?
They lose their bets.
Oh, okay,
they lose their bets.
I just didn't want it to get personal.
That was my very poor segue into kind of going back into the Brendan Sorsby conversation. I know you and David have talked quite a bit about it this week. We talked about it a lot yesterday on B Team. I'm of the opinion that there cannot be nuance here. And a lot of these court cases and a lot of these scenarios, there is some detail that you need to talk about, and not all things are created equal, and different situations may call for different types of responses and punishments. This isn't one of those cases to me. There can be no nuance here.
Yeah.
You gambled on sports, the sport that you play. It has to be a hard line.
To me, they always say, hey, we want you to be just like other students. Well, other students are placing bets. So to me, the problem's not that he bet on sports, it's that he bet on his sport, and even worse, his team.
Yes. And people will say, I saw some very loud Texas Tech folks, I say loud, they were hitting send on as many tweets as possible saying that, well, he never bet against his team, but he bet the under on passing yards in multiple games for Indiana.
What ultimately got Francione fired?
He didn't win enough games?
No, the VIP newsletter that was only going to certain people that gave them inside information. And if you have inside information, what can you use that to do?
Place bets.
Place bets, right? If you're on a team, you have inside information.
Well,
it can't be bet.
It's just for me, this is an odd hill to die on if you're Texas Tech. Right? Like, are you really going to risk?
That's probably the only hill in Lubbock, by the way.
Yeah, the only one for sure. And the only hill for miles and miles of Lubbock. But is this really how you are going to Is this where you want to dig in here, is on this scenario? It just, and I understand, like, they paid a lot of money for him. This is their chance to not only win the Big 12, but get into the playoff. By the way, if I'm the backup quarterback, I'd think about leaving. If I'm Will Hammond, and they're going to fight tooth and nail for this guy that broke the one rule.
The cardinal sin.
The cardinal sin.
Of all sports.
And what does that say about their belief in me as a player? I'd have big questions if I was a backup there.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it yesterday on B Team. Like, what? There's been a lot of split opinion on.
So you think Hammond's going to transfer?
No, I don't think that.
I bet he does.
I'm sure there's a place that you can find those odds.
Sorsby might too.
We were talking yesterday about.
And now it's mental health.
I know they've played the victim thing, and the response, the statement from the court in Lubbock was outrageous.
Yes,
it was the most hilarity I've seen from that's a legal entity that put out this statement that, well, if we don't do this, the poor kid it's really going to cost him opportunities and be a detriment to his life, and this woe is me scenario. I'm like, yeah, actions have consequences, or they should. So now we know, Olin, that gambling, you can gamble on your own team and you can still play. Where's the line? A little bit of gambling's okay. A lot of gambling's okay.
Well, the line is +8 on. Yeah, you're right. Look, to me, that's the one rule that just can't be broken, right? Baseball with Pete Rose, you know.
I said yesterday.
He bet on his team to win.
Pete Rose wouldn't have to worry about the Hall of Fame nowadays. He'd be a shoo-in. They might elect him as Pope compared to what people are getting away with now. He wouldn't have to worry about the Hall of Fame. But there's been a lot of people that have come out and had some split opinions on, the statements from the Big 12 or the Big 10 about scheduling Texas Tech. And Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, put out some statements yesterday and was just talking about, look, I'm listening to everybody in our league. There are a lot of folks that have very strong opinions on this ruling and the outcome and just kind of the ripple effects of it. I'm looking at an article here on ESPN.com from this morning where they are talking to a prominent college sports attorney, Thomas Morris, who's the same guy that helped Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss attain a preliminary injunction to play for the Rebels this season. This is a quote from Thomas Morris. There is no question that the Big 12 could impose draconian sanctions on Texas Tech, and the type of sanctions would only be limited by their own creativity. The Big 12 is not party to the Texas lawsuit and is therefore not enjoined from doing anything. And the point that I was making yesterday was, let's say there are some bylaws written in the Big 12, and it sounds like there aren't any that would preclude the conference from essentially ostracizing Texas Tech. But let's just say there were, or Texas Tech could go into a legal court battle about, hey, you can't expel us from the league, you cannot allow us to compete in the league. In week 3, they play the University of Houston in Lubbock. What would happen if Willie Fritz and his team just said, we're not playing?
I think what would happen was that Houston would then be charged a forfeit.
But what if it happened for everybody throughout the duration of the season?
Well, Texas Tech would win the Big 12.
And would then the playoff recognize them as the Big 12 champion if they didn't play a game?
I think they'd have to.
No way.
I think they'd have to. I don't like it, but if every game is forfeited, a forfeit's a win. So now you're undefeated, and you go to the Big 12 championship game because you're undefeated because every team forfeited. Well, now the team that's going to play you in that, no, we're not playing you. Forfeit again. Hey, I'm the champion. Now, I think that may, and then what happens if everybody else decides to forfeit against? That may be the only way Texas Tech is going to win a national championship, but.
Well, I'm continuing reading from this article on ESPN.com. Big 12 bylaw 3.6 allows for the conference to sanction a member with a supermajority vote of disinterested directors after, quote, representatives of the members that are subject of such vote has been given reasonable prior notice and the reasonable opportunity to present and to be heard. So they have to let Texas Tech make their case is essentially what that says.
To me, the most disturbing thing of all of this is not the jacked up NCAA. To me, the most disturbing part of that is how much judges are for sale.
Without question. And the fact that the appellate court that is going to hear the next trial or whatever
set till after the season?
After the season in Amarillo.
Right.
So even if it were during the season, you're talking about a West Texas judge there too.
Yeah, probably went to Texas Tech.
Right.
I think that that's, to me, the most disturbing thing. But, look, let's be honest. Yes, the circumstances were vastly different. But A&M's best basketball player played last season because a local judge.
Well, right.
The circumstances were vastly different.
Yes. But what I said yesterday.
Alabama judge.
Sure. Charles Bediaku got a local judge.
So that to me is what's most disturbing about all this.
And listen, I'm not condoning this, but if you have a player that, hey, I need to run a little bit faster, I need to be a little bit stronger, what's stopping them now from taking performance-enhancing drugs?
Right.
NCAA has a banned substance list. If Kendall Stowers wants to jump 45 feet in the air, so she decides she's going to inject herself with human growth hormone and horse steroids, and they're all these NCAA banned substances, just pick one of them, and she gets popped for it, she just goes to appeal it. Temporary injunction here in Bryan, Texas.
I need mental health.
Yes. And if you don't let me jump 45 feet in the air, I can't function in my day-to-day. And now you're taking opportunities for me to make more money off of the plate. Everything is on the table. Now that this has been allowed, there are no rules. If this goes forward and he can play, there are no longer any rules. And you're going to turn, you've turned a circus into a 8-ring circus with this ruling. All right, we got to hit a break. Coming back, close the Go Hour with OB here on a Wednesday morning on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Hey friends, David Nuno here for the Association of Former Students, and have you checked out the latest issue of the Texas Aggie magazine? The May through June issue is a special Aggie Spirits issue that includes all things Aggie: wine, beer, mead, spirits, and much, much more. And the team at the Association of Former Students searched far and wide for Aggie-owned businesses, breweries, wineries across the state, the country, and even the world. That's right, the globe, baby. And as much as could be found has been compiled into the magazine for the Aggie Network. Now, normally, the Texas Aggie magazine is available only to Century Club members. However, this issue is available to everyone. So to read the issue and explore giving to receive future issues, visit tx.ag/Texas Aggie. That is tx.ag/Texas Aggie. Again, don't miss the special Aggie Spirits issue of the Texas Aggie to explore all things Aggie: wine, beer, mead, spirits, and much, much more. It is tx.ag/Texas Aggie. Check it out.
All right, wrapping up the Go Hour here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We have drug, unfortunately, as she probably should have expected, we have drugged Kendall Stowers into far too many.
Tried to warn her.
Yeah, we tried to tell her. Like, this was not going to be the most professional experience that she's ever had. In no way, shape, or form are we trying to insinuate that Kendall has ever done anything wrong in her entire life.
In fact, after we had that bumper music, dude looks like a lady, I want to ask her opinion on, guys playing in women's sports.
Okay, all right.
I think it's a big deal in volleyball.
All right, Olin, let's talk about anything else. It's interesting when I'm hosting TexAgs Live and my phone rings.
Yeah.
And we're chasing down stories.
Yeah.
It's always interesting about how you handle that. I've been on multiple TexAgs radio, going back to the old studio to TexAgs Live. Here, I can remember a couple of years ago on signing day, getting a phone call mid-answer, sitting at the desk mid-answer, and I looked at my phone like, I need to take this. So Nick cuts away, and I walk over there and take a phone call to confirm that Chase Sims and DJ Sanders are not indeed flipping to Texas, as people were saying that they had signed their letters of intent with Texas A&M, and there was nothing to worry about. But that happens every so often. So if you see me abruptly get up and walk out of here, it's because I've got to take
Well, you should have taken it. You could have just thrown it to me. And
no way.
Stowers and I could have discussed all the great controversial issues in college sports today.
Again, we are in no way, shape, or form insinuating that Kendall has ever done anything illicit.
You know what? She won a national championship.
She can't.
So she's untouchable.
That's right. That's right. So we wanted to say that, and just in case Kendall's parents are watching.
But if they are.
I know, it's her TexAgs Live debut. She's this is her Braden Montgomery.
And Eli's probably watching.
I bet Eli's not. Eli's probably mini camp.
I'm not gonna lie. I know he comes home today, actually.
Okay, so he's traveling. So definitely not watching though. And I hope he's not watching after you say he goes 0-17 this year.
No, I don't like his team. In fact, they're the team I hate the most. I was physically depressed.
The Texas Longhorns play the Philadelphia Eagles. Who are you pulling for?
Longhorns.
Really?
Wow.
There's no team I hate more than the Philadelphia Eagles. I wanted Anaya Smith to be successful, but I didn't want that team to win. Hate them.
I uncovered something about Olin Buchanan that I did not know after working with him for over 10 years now. OB, I appreciate it. On the other side of the break, going to talk to John Harris of the Houston Texans, see what he thinks about the Texans minicamp has started, but also kind of the implications of this Brendan Sorsby deal and have they trickled into the conversations in professional football. We'll be right back on the other side of the break on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'll take that.
Welcome back to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Ryan Brauninger inside the Rilo Insurance Studios in for David. Today, we go out to the Buppy's Catering Hotline, talk to a great friend of the program and the knower of all things Houston Texans and beyond, Mr. John Harris. John, we appreciate your time this morning, buddy. How has it been with minicamp getting started? Have you been staying hydrated? It has been warm in Houston.
Yeah, it feels like training camp already, Ryan, which is kind of good. You know, we've had years in which we've drafted. I remember we had a tight end out of Iowa my first year, 2014, and I remember he went out to minicamp and he said to one of our guys, like, "Man, it's really hot." And one of our training staff looked over and went, "Yeah, wait till August, pal." And we got to August, and he was taught a pretty helpful lesson at that point about learning what hot actually is. So it's good that we're getting a little bit of a precursor for it. And it's funny, you see some of our vets, they take such pride in it. They kind of look over at the young guys like, "Man, you don't even know." So yeah, it's the one thing that we're pretty proud of, I would suppose, here in Houston. And you know, we've got the football team to be proud of as well. But those guys pride themselves on, you know, the dog mentality that when it gets hot and humid, you know, like it's going to in late July, early August, that they can go through it. Now, here's the flip side of that, Ryan. We play at home, at Indy, inside, at home, Tennessee. That's finally outside. So it takes us to week 5 that we play outside all year. Then we go to London and we'll play outside at Wembley, and then we play Giants inside. So we play outside on U.S. soil one time in basically the first half of the year. So all that, you know, hey, we're tougher because we go through all the heat and all that kind of stuff. It really doesn't show itself because we only go outside a couple of times in the first half of the year. So it would help us if we could go practice in a refrigerator as we get ready for the back end of our season, when we're playing all those games in Green Bay and Pittsburgh and Washington and, you know, all those places, Philadelphia on Christmas Eve, where we've got to be bundled up to go win a game.
Hey, John, I feel like a lot of the preseason discussions as the talking heads around the country, the sports analysts, the predictions for the Houston Texans this year have been, for me, interesting. And I do want to get into the Brendan Sorsby stuff and maybe some of the ripple effect it could be having at the professional level. But while I got you here and we're talking about the Texans, it seems to me that the perception of this team and the organization right now is like they're kind of at a tipping point moment. You know, you have C.J. Stroud, who's, you know, a certified veteran now. You have an incredible defense. They've made some offseason acquisitions. The way they drafted, it would seem to me as if the organization is looking at this next 8 to 10 months as vitally important to the future of what they're going to do on the field. Do you feel like the Texans are at a very interesting spot in terms of what they've got and how they move forward?
Absolutely. And I don't want to sit here, Ryan, and say Super Bowl or bust, but I do think there is that mentality, which I think is good, and that is, hey, we've got to be seeking something higher. You know, we've gone to the divisional playoff round 3 times. You know, I felt like, you know, after we beat Pittsburgh and we came home that Tuesday night last year, and we're like, we're going to New England. We're going to end everything with New England. We rarely win at Gillette. We never beat them in the playoffs at Gillette. This is our opportunity. We're going to win this game at Gillette. We're better than the Patriots. We're going to go to the AFC Championship game for the first time. Doesn't matter who we play. We are the tough out. And then we went the same way we had gone every time, I think 6 times prior to that in a divisional round. We just went out with a whimper. And I think that has really unsettled people in a sense. I don't know, maybe that's not the right word, but it's really sent everybody back to the drawing board in a bit, going, look, we've got the right core here, but we have a hole here, we have a hole here, we have a hole here. And I think the Texans have gone about doing a great job of trying to fill those holes. Like, okay, we didn't run a ball. All right, let's go get Wyatt Teller and Braden Smith. You know, we're really bad inside the 5-yard line scoring touchdowns. We got to the 1-yard line, God knows how many times, that had settled for field goals or went for it and missed it numerous times. Okay, go get David Montgomery. So it felt like they took whatever hole there was and he would try to plug even on defense. The safety position opposite Kalen Bullock. Everybody thought, man, what are we going to do? That position's been kind of flipped over 3, 4, 5 times last year. We went and got Reed Blankenship, the ultimate winner from Philadelphia, and he's just fit in with that secondary hand and glove. So, yeah, I think everybody saw what's happened. They also looked at his roster and went, this roster is too good, and we're paying a lot of money for these stars, and we've got a lot of them now. We sent 6 guys to the Pro Bowl last year. Should have sent Jalen Petrie. That should have been a 7th. C.J. Stroud turned it down. That would have been 8. This team has got more Pro Bowlers on it now than it's ever had. Now's the time. And I think we got the right coach. We've got the right GM and personnel department. I guess the question for a lot of people around here that they have after last season is, can C.J. Stroud get it done? And because the last they saw of C.J. was against New England, and he had his worst day as a pro. I think C.J. can definitely get it done. And I think when C.J.'s at his best, he can take us to heights we've never been. And if he gets there, we've got the talent to go win a Super Bowl. Now, it's going to have to beat Seattle or beat the L.A. Rams now with Myles Garrett. But this is the type of team that other teams, they buckle their chin strap to play. When they see us, they're like, oh, God, that defense, man, these guys hit. But we got to get them to steer the offense, too. Like, holy crap, we got to now face Wyatt Teller and Ed Ingram and Braden Smith with David Montgomery and Woody Marks. Holy crap. We're in for a long day against that team. We saw it start to come together last year, but I think this is the year that not only can it really come together and we can be the best team this city's seen, but I think there's that feeling of we've got to do it now because the contracts really start to kick in 2027, and you may not have the same constructed team. Because you still have CJ on a rookie contract right now, you have an opportunity to do some things with this roster that's never been done. But you got to break through that divisional playoff round. Does that take playing here in Houston? Potentially. Would it be nice to get a bye in the first round, be there and see an AFC? Potentially. But our offense has really got to show up and play to be able to do that. Now, they're saying the right things. They've done the right things thus far in building it. But now the proof is in the pudding. Can you do it for a whole season and then on into the playoffs when it gets tough and you got to go back outside? Can you score more than 13 points and win that game to get to the AFC Championship? Then can you do it again to go win the Super Bowl, win to get to the Super Bowl in Los Angeles? It's a tough nut to crack. I think it's a lot harder than people think, but we finally have got that squad to be able to do it. I think it's the best and most talented squad we've had here that I've ever seen, Ryan, and I think it's the best that this city has seen for this team and maybe in general of any Oilers teams as well. But you just got to put it together at the right 60 minutes in the divisional playoff round, the AFC Championship game, and hopefully the Super Bowl.
It's interesting to me, John. I think to varying degrees, these similar conversations are happening within the division, specifically in Indianapolis and in Jacksonville. Don't you feel like this division, a lot of these organizations are at pivotal points for what the next 3 or 4 years look like for them?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Indianapolis, I think Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen know their football lives are on the line right now. I think Carly, owner of the Colts, who was on the sideline listening on the headphones, extremely involved. I think she looked at it and said, look, I don't want change. Let's run this back one more time, but it better change. And if it doesn't, well, we got to move on. And I think, there's a chance that if that thing goes sideways in Indianapolis, that gets blown up completely. Because they're kind of on the verge of doing, winning 10, 11 games and being a threat in the playoffs because they can run the ball so well. They got a deep threat now at Pierce. Daniel Jones, if he can keep it together, can be a good quarterback, not great, but they could be a dangerous out in the playoffs. They also could go back to being 7-8 wins, and now at that point, okay, we got to blow this up. But Jacksonville gets really interesting because Liam Cohen, I think, is really good for them. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great game planner. I think he speaks Jacksonville's language. But what Jacksonville has done is, 2017, they're the best team I've seen in a while. I mean, they stayed together. They stayed healthy, and they put teams out. That defense was incredible. Well, 2018, things kind of, go sideways, and all of a sudden they're back to being the Jacksonville Jaguars that we know, and they're that for the next 4 years. 2022, they come back. Doug Peterson's the guy. They get on a run. Trevor is going to be a future MVP. They come back in 2023, and they can't play their way out of paper bag the last half of the year. So then they're back to, all right. Well, then Liam Cohen comes in. He gives them kind of a shot, like, all right, here we go. But it's about consistency with them. Now, they've also lost their best offensive player in Travis Etienne. They've also lost their best defense player in Devin Lloyd. So, I mean, that's got to be something that they didn't really replace either guy for the most part. So you lost your best guy on either side of the ball. Yikes. And, hey, the Texans have gotten better. The Titans are going to be a little bit better. They're probably a year away from really being a factor, but I do think the Titans are going to mess with a lot of teams this year. I think they're going to be much better with Robert Saleh. And then the Colts are going to be a tough out because they're a veteran-laden team. They've been through the wars. I just don't know that they've done enough. I mean, the receiving core doesn't scare you. The offense, okay, Daniel Jones, does he really frighten you? And the defense, they keep adding pieces, but their entire linebacker core has been wiped out. Can't rush the quarterback, really. And they spent all those draft picks on Sauce Gardner, who I think is good, but not great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really got to come together for them or they're all gone. I think Liam Cohen would get another shot, but I feel like if Jacksonville takes a step back, the feeling in that town will be, here we go again. We're one-year wonders, but I think Jacksonville's going to be a tough out if Trevor has taken the strides with Liam Cohen that he showed the last half of the season. If he can continue that for a full season, he'll be an MVP candidate, and they will be tough to beat no matter where you play them. Even though they're in a smaller stadium this year and then they're building it out, whatever, we got to play them in London. So we catch a little bit of a break not going to Duval County because people don't understand Duval County can be tough, especially playing week 3. We're talking about playing outside. We played outside, and it was 90 degrees, 100% humidity, and it was a nightmare. It was tough for both sides. It was a slog. We don't have to do that because we're playing in London this year. But that is going to be, I think, the biggest competitor because of Trevor, because of Liam Cohen. That's why I don't say fear. I don't think we fear anybody. But I think if there's a team we look at and go, they're our equal, I think Jacksonville is the closest thing you get.
Hey, changing lanes on you real quick, John. Got a few more minutes before we got to let you go. But I did want to get your thoughts on this Brennan Sorsby situation. If you were the czar of college football, and that's one of the issues that we're having in college football is that there's nobody as a figurehead to make big decisions on the future or current state of the sport. But if you could make a ruling or you could have some sort of jurisdiction on how this is adjudicated at the college level, what would you do with this Brennan Sorsby situation?
As soon as it was reported that he bet on his own team and he bet on college football, he's done. That's me. Now, this is where it gets sort of murky, especially with gambling. I got started full time in this business, Ryan, in 2007, so it's 19 years now. And gambling was persona non grata. Where gambling came up, I mean, Rick Neuheisel had just lost his job at Washington because he was in an NCAA tournament pool, basketball. He lost his job. I mean, gambling was, it was taboo. It is not that anymore. I mean, we're talking about it on ESPN. We're talking about it on our shows. I mean, it's a big talking point. We've put professional teams in Vegas, which was something that wasn't done for decades because, gambling. So to me, the gambling part of it has gotten murky because it's become much more mainstream. You can do it on DraftKings. You can do it so many different ways now. However, once you bet on your own team, that to me, that alone, betting on your own sport, you're out. You're done. I mean, I think the NFL, not to toot the NFL's horn, but I think the NFL, Jameson Williams got suspended for a year because, and there was 2 rules. It's like you can't gamble at the facility and you can't gamble on your sport. Outside of that, you're good. Mm-hmm. It's cool. Well, Brennan Sorsby gambled on his own sport and gambled on his own team. Oh, yeah, but he only gambled on them to win. Yeah, but what about the weeks where he didn't bet on them to win? Was he telling you something? What about if I read he was betting on unders for certain prop bets. Okay, well, what does he know? What does he know? Does he know that the quarterback's got a banged up right finger and isn't going to throw it well? I mean, that to me would have been donezo. You're done. You're going to the supplemental draft, et cetera. Then you get to the NCAA. Okay. They have no authority anymore. None. The authority for college sports is now your local municipal court, your federal court, the Supreme Court. That is the legislative body for college sports now. And what we have seen with those legislative bodies is Trinidad shambles. Now, I felt like Trinidad should have gotten another year anyways, but Trinidad didn't do anything other than, I think he played in a game 1 year that he was supposed to redshirt, whatever it might have been. He did nothing along the lines of Brendan Sorsby. So at that point, but the courts decided that. And I saw a tweet, and this is the one that really kind of caught my eye, Ryan, was, hey, what's to stop somebody that didn't get drafted to go sue, to go back to the school where he went? Owen Heineke is a great example of that, OU. I don't know if anybody's brought that up. Owen Heineke, I saw at the Senior Bowl. I saw him at the Combine. I saw him go through the whole draft process. And then, the last place I saw Owen Heineke, in an Oklahoma jersey, running out of the tunnel on spring game day. Like, wait, what? Again, the courts have become the legislative body for college sports. And that, I think, is where I don't know. There's obviously a major disconnect there from that standpoint because of what seemingly is allowed legally versus what we traditionally have seen allowed by the NCAA. So there's so many different cross streams to all of this. When did Indiana find out that Brendan Sorsby had been gambling on his team? When did Cincinnati know that Brendan Sorsby was still gambling, from that standpoint? Texas Tech obviously reported it, but Texas Tech is kind of hiding behind, we reported he's got a 2-game suspension. That's what we think it should be. Texas Tech is not right in all that. There's so many people and entities that are wrong in this whole thing, Ryan. And I know I'm wrong in some sense the way that I think about this, because there's some people going, he gambled, so what? Big deal. It's more accepted now. I'm like, there's certain things that we've got to have as tenets in our sport that, some tent poles that we just, we don't, you get 4 years of eligibility. You don't gamble on your sport. We've got to have some authoritative body that's not a municipal court in Mississippi, that is not some sort of federal court in Lubbock that is deciding these things. And that starts at the top. There's got to be a commissioner. There's got to be some sort of, and I say air quotes because not being employees, being employees gets to be a whole different, but there being a collective bargaining agreement sort of thing. Hey, these are the rules that we live by. And what I think might end up happening, Ryan, just kind of outsider looking in, is that each conference is going to be able to set its own, hey, this is how we do it. We don't need the NCAA anymore. The SEC is going to do these things. This is what we set up for our teams. This is how we're going to do this. And we're going to set this like the NFL. In the NFL, you don't see these, the courts getting involved with very many things that go on because the collective bargaining agreement is what all 32 teams abide by. What about the SEC, 10 commandments or whatever? What about the Big Ten, 10 commandments that they live by? These are the rules that we live by. Hey, you got 5 years for 4. You can only transfer one time within the SEC. There is a salary cap for everything, the collectives, NIL, et cetera. We're putting a salary cap on all of that. I think that's where we're going to end up heading, that this conference does it this way. The Big Ten does it this way. The SEC does it this way. The ACC does it this way. And I think that's how we're going to have to do it in a sense, because to come to an agreement for 130 FBS teams, I think is going to be too much. I think it's going to be, down in Sun Belt Conference, we want to be able to do this. It's like, well, no, the SEC is going to do this. We can't live on the same level plane, if you will. So I knew you would ask me about this Brendan Sorsby thing. So I've been thinking about what I would say. And I feel like this, because everybody is wrong in some sense in all of this. How it impacts, and also one thing you asked me was how about the NFL? I was going to ask one of our scouts about it, and then I was like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't ask about this, but I have a feeling that there will be Because as you would say, gambling addiction, okay, how has addiction been treated amongst the scout world? You know, how have mental health issues been addressed? Because I think that's kind of where we are with Brendan Sorsby. It's addiction, maybe there's a mental health factor in there, all that kind of stuff. The NFL hasn't shied away from it. And I think they've gotten better in-house, especially the Texans, in how they handle mental health issues, how they handle addictions, how they handle those things. Now, I think they've become better. But I still think when you're talking about the quarterback position, you're talking about a different ball game and a whole different set of rules and regulations for your quarterback. So it's going to be a really tricky thing. But I don't think anybody's giving a first or a second for him. I do think there might be a team going, you know what? I'll give up a third. I got a couple of thirds in this draft. I'll give up a supplemental third. But then again, you want to give up a draft pick in 2027's draft? Good luck, pal, because this might be one of the best drafts we've ever seen. So I just feel like, Brendan, anybody that kind of looks at the Brendan Sorsby situation, Ryan, is like, well, it's this one thing. No. This thing is as complex as anything we've ever seen. And I feel like I used to drive in Boston a long time ago. I was in college, Ryan. And I remember there was this intersection. And at the intersection, there were like 5 different roadways coming together all in one. And I was driving my girlfriend at the time, and I'd never gotten to this intersection before, and I kind of panicked. And I got there, and I said, what do I do? And she said, floor it. And I said, okay. And I floored it. And all of a sudden, when I floored it, everybody stopped and let me go. And I feel like we're at this point in college football now where we're all at this kind of intersection of NIL, transfer portal, the Sorsby situation, conferences, playoff, all this. We're at that same intersection, and everybody there wants to floor it. And I realized after my girlfriend told me, I was like, that's not really an effective way to do that, to do what I did. But it was successful for me, so I'm good. But that's not the way we can live in college football. We've got to have some parameters on how we're doing things and have some guardrails of how we're doing things, because there's going to be a school 4 hours east of here that just says, well, rules don't stop me from doing this. I'm going to go sign a 7-year NFL pro, have him go through the Supreme Court, and he'll be playing for me next year. Because, well, there's no rule saying I can't do it.
Yep. So
we've gotten to that intersection, and now we need some parameters and guardrails. We can't just have everybody going for it. That's what we can't have that happen. So we got to just one by one kind of, okay, here's how we're going to handle this. Here's how we're going to handle this. Here's how we're going to handle this, and make sure that everything that's being considered is kind of tied together so that you have this cohesive movement forward. And I still think we're probably 4 or 5 years away. And here's the thing to me, Ryan, is kind of frustrating. I feel like the game itself, the games we get on a week-in, week-out basis are as good as we've seen in a long time. Guys are sticking around for a little bit longer. There's better quarterback play. There's more experienced guys. The games that every single weekend, there is a 5 versus 8 game in college football. Georgia's playing Texas, then LSU's playing A&M. Then the next week it's Alabama at Georgia. Like every week there is a rock star game or slate of games throughout. We just got to get a handle on how you do this on a more consistent level. And, coaches, administrators, schools, players, everybody can win. You yield a little bit here, yield a little bit there, and everybody doesn't have to floor it once they get to the intersection.
John, we appreciate your time, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, man, Ryan, great to hear from you, man. See you, bud.
All right, when we come back, we're going to do some reshuffling here. Luke Evangelos will be on the show, so if you're waiting for your Aggie basketball fix, he will be on the show. But we are going to have a very short segment following this break. Then we will talk to Mary Rominger of KSAT in San Antonio to talk about the NBA Finals. Knicks and Spurs. We'll have a segment with her. And then we will get to Luke after Jason Howell. We got no Kendall Rogers today, so we will move Luke back to Kendall Rogers' spot to try to get us back on the clock here as we continue to roll along on a Wednesday morning here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Everyone, David Nuno here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever. And also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group. And they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em.
This will probably be the shortest middle of the hour segment in TexAgs Live history as we attempt to get back on the clock. Ryan Brauninger in the host chair today. David Nuno returns on Friday. Nick Savage will get you through it tomorrow. So, in case you missed it, doing some reshuffling of the schedule, Mary Rominger of KSAT in San Antonio will join us on the other side of this commercial break to talk about the NBA Finals. We have a lot of listeners in Central Texas, in the San Antonio area. I have in-laws that live right outside of San Antonio. I know how big of a deal these Spurs are in that part of the state. So we did want to talk to her and get her take on the NBA Finals. We'll have a segment with her. We will close then the hour. Maybe I'll take some questions. You can send them over to Kendall in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I have been working the phones in between commercial breaks here on TexAgs Live to get you the latest that I can on the baseball transfer portal stuff. So if you have a couple of baseball questions, maybe I can get to those in that open segment. At 10 o'clock, we have 2 segments in person with Jason Howell, who's taking up residence this week in College Station with 3 Texas A&M camps to close out their summer camp schedule. They had a camp on Sunday, had a camp on Tuesday. They have a camp tomorrow. So Jason has stayed in town. So Jason will be live with me for Recruiting Country. That will be from 10 to 10:35. And then we will get Luke Evangelist in to get your Aggie basketball fix, as Bucky McMillan and company have started summer workouts on a roster that will look vastly different than what was on the floor just a season ago. Okay, so now we're back on the clock. Reese, you can exhale. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little hard hoops on the NBA level, the finals, San Antonio Spurs and New York Knicks, on a Wednesday edition of TexAgs Live. Welcome back. Bottom of the 9 o'clock hour here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are going out to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline to talk with Mary Rominger of KSAT 12 in San Antonio. The Spurs locked in a very heated NBA Finals with the New York Knicks. The away team is 3-0 in this series so far. Mary, we appreciate your time this morning. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm good. Excited for tonight's game. I mean, I feel like we finally saw a Spurs team play competent in crunch time 2 days ago now. So excited to see how they fare in game 2 tonight, or in their second game at MSG, excuse me.
Yeah. Has the series gone about like you'd expect? Because I know going in, a lot of folks gave the Spurs the heavy advantage just because the Western Conference was perceived to be stronger than the East for much of the NBA season. I know the Knicks have a 2-1 lead. And if you took the home venues kind of out of the discussion, the games have been super competitive. Did you foresee a fist fight like it's been?
You know, I want to say I did, but I also fall into that category of sometimes giving the Western Conference a lot of credit. And I think that's fair in a lot of respects because the West is so talented, it's so deep, and it felt, that Western Conference Finals between OKC and the Spurs, it felt like that might have been as competitive as the playoffs were going to get. Clearly very wrong. I think there is an element too, though, of the Western Conference beats itself up before they can even get a chance to get to the finals. And obviously the Spurs and Thunder went to 7 games. So I knew there was a bit of unpredictability of what the Spurs would look like fresh off of a 7-game series. The Knicks had swept. You know, there's so many factors. Did I think the first 3 games were going to be this close? No. But after game 1, it became very clear, okay, this is going to be a battle. The Knicks didn't get the credit they deserved, and they reminded everyone who they are, and they weren't just beating up on bad teams. They were dominating teams all the way to the point that they were, which was a 13-game win streak until game 3, obviously. So, yeah, it's been fun, though. It's been really fun to see a competitive series.
Would you say that the way the Knicks are attacking Victor Wembanyama has taken him a little bit of, like, there's nobody that's going to stop this guy. He's an alien. They call him an alien for a reason. But I've been really interested to see how the Knicks have kind of thrown the kitchen sink at him in an attempt to just make him as uncomfortable as possible. And it seems like, you know, that's worked to a certain extent for the first 3 games. But the more you do it against a guy like Victor, like, eventually he's going to figure it out. So does that give you a little bit of confidence that you think that he could probably even up his game another level?
Yeah, I have confidence that we haven't seen the best of Wembanyama in this series, but the OKC series brought to light that when Wembanyama figures it out, it doesn't mean he's going to just, you know, go on an upwards trajectory for the rest of the series. He might have another bad game where he only produces, you know, 20, 25 points, which for him is a bad game, obviously, not for most players, but for him, I could see a less productive game from him in this series because of how good the competition is and how the Knicks have been able to adjust. And the OKC series was a perfect example of that. Wembanyama is going to go through a lot of physicality. He's going to go through ebbs and flows of the series, and that's why the depth around him is so important. When Wembanyama is struggling, you know, he needs help from his supporting cast. But it sure makes it a lot easier when Wemby has 30-plus points and is dominating defensively. But you can't expect that every game. And I think a lot of it comes down to how both coaches scheme up. You know, we saw how effective Wemby was in game 3 in the first quarter, but it's not something that's necessarily you can count on to maintain. So it's a matter of weathering those quarters when Wembanyama can't be as dominant because of guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, OG, etc.
Talking to Mary Rominger, a sports anchor and reporter at KSAT 12 in San Antonio. Mary, so let's go through. Victor Wembanyama gets a lot of the headlines and a lot of the talking points are deservedly directed toward him. But it feels like to me, if all of these games are going to be as competitive as they've been, then the Spurs are going to need similar contributions to what they got out of Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox. The party around Victor Wembanyama has got to continue to play well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? They have, they can afford Dylan Harper not shooting the ball that great and he still finishes in double figures off the bench. They can afford, a less productive Stephon Castle game. As long as they're not turning the ball over, which, when De'Aaron Fox is somewhat healthy and he's on the court, able to facilitate the offense, they're pretty good at keeping, possession. But a lot of it comes down to too, which, you hate to blame, any loss on one specific thing. But those first two losses, I'm sure you remember the turnovers in crunch time. Wembanyama in game 1 dribbled the ball off his foot when guarded by Cat. Game 2, the infamous, or maybe better terminology, the turnover heard around the world when Wembanyama passed to Stephon Castle's back in transition in the tied game. There's moments like that too, where yes, Wembanyama needs support. You just can't afford to make mistakes is my point. So the Spurs have done well, but they've kind of shot themselves in the foot in critical moments. And we didn't see that in game 3. And to me, I hate to simplify it because this is not a simple series, but it really has, from my perspective, come down to just not making mistakes in crunch time.
Yeah, the Vegas line for tonight is the Knicks are favored by 2.5. Have you been surprised about, the Spurs are a long-standing great organization in the NBA. They've won multiple titles, very highly thought of from top to bottom as an organization. It seems like the Knicks, the atmosphere around the games, the atmosphere around this team has been a lot more college-like, which is interesting considering they're in the biggest city, one of the biggest cities in the world. And it's been San Antonio that has been kind of, up to this point, kind of the buttoned-up organization in a smaller market. Has just the atmosphere surrounding this series surprised you at all?
Are you referencing what's going on with fans outside of arenas?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. I mean, it's been a while since the Knicks have been in this position, so I guess we should have expected maybe a little bit more rowdiness than we're used to seeing, because New York is a unique city. In the East Coast, the culture is much different than that of what we experience here. We consider Texas the South, right? It's kind of South, Midwest.
Yes. It's its own thing.
It's its own beast.
Yes, that's right.
Different culture than the East Coast. So it's been a while since we've seen that. I mean, obviously Boston had a series of great seasons, and we saw what their winning reactions were and losing reactions were. But yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time thinking about this yesterday. And I don't know what's going to happen as the series continues because, I assume people listening know what we're talking about. But, there are some viral videos after game 3 of Spurs fans getting attacked in the streets. We don't have the full context of those situations, but didn't look great. It looked with the context of just what we saw, Spurs fans were being kind of attacked and targeted and harassed around Madison Square Garden and in New York City. And I hope there's not a retaliation when the series gets back to San Antonio. I'm not saying Spurs fans would do that, but you can't speak for everyone, and I just hope things don't get more ugly than they are. But yeah, I think Spurs fans and the culture here in San Antonio, they've handled the ebbs and flows of the NBA playoffs well, considering it's been a while since they've been here.
How do you feel like the Spurs will handle Jalen Brunson? Obviously, the heart and soul of the Knicks team, leads them in points, leads them in assists, and is really the straw that stirs the drink for them with a lot of good role players around him. How do you think the Spurs have done up to this point against Brunson, and how can they improve going forward?
I thought they've done well. Brunson is tough. I mean, he's a dog. I've gained a lot of respect for him in this series, and I say this series because I don't watch a ton of New York Knicks basketball, a ton of Eastern Conference basketball, but man, he's so talented, so tough. And I think the Spurs will live with him getting 30 points every couple games. Like that's fine. You know, the Spurs in these playoffs have done a really good job at shutting down star players. What's been the problem for them is role players getting hot from three. And we saw that in the OKC series. We saw that in game 2 when Mikal Bridges and Landry Shamet were draining threes while, locking down Brunson because Stephon Castle's just such a phenomenal defender. But I think they've done well against Brunson. Again, 30 points is a lot, but you'll live with it considering how talented he is. It's just a matter of, also playing good defense in other areas. And in game 3, they did a good job of that, right? Like you saw their defensive rotations. The Spurs they were on it. They were fundamentally sound, unlike games 1 and 2. But yeah, Brunson's going to get his. He's going to fight through contact, and you just got to make sure you're not giving up possessions, giving up or making mistakes,
Lots of storyline, lots of intrigue here in this NBA Finals. Mary Rominger, we appreciate your time for joining us here at TexAgs Live. Settle in, get ready. It should be an entertaining one tonight. But again, we appreciate you hopping on with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Always fun talking about the Spurs. Excited for game 4 tonight. Thank you, guys.
All right, when we come back, we will close the 9 o'clock hour. Get ready for Jason Howell, live and in person and in the flesh, and all of those things on Recruiting Country. 2 segments of it. 1 segment with Luke Evangelist to talk Aggie basketball, and then a budding segment of this program. I don't know how we're phrasing this, how we're describing, in case you missed it, with Kaylee Dreyer and Sydney Clevenger to close the show. I'll be interested to see what they have to talk about. It's essentially become the gossip segment of TexAgs Live. I don't know, maybe I've boxed that in inappropriately myself, but we'll get to them. We'll see what they've got to say in the show on a Wednesday morning as we roll right along on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. 0 sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst.
All right, real quick segment here. 2 minutes remaining in the 9 o'clock hour. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, inside the Rollo Insurance Studios. Don't forget, the final segment of our show is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. However, I'm going to give away some pizza right now. 979-693-1150 will hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave, serving Aggieland and beyond since 1984. Your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls with reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Kendall, have you ever won anything from a radio giveaway?
No, I've never.
Have you ever tried to win anything from a radio giveaway? So this predates you. When I was growing up, it was very common that people listened to the radio more then because we didn't have iPhones and podcasts, and you could pick what you want to listen to. You listen to the radio, and whatever songs came on, that's what you listened to, and listen to all the commercial breaks. But it was very common for them to give away like concert tickets on the radio, and that would be. I can remember sitting at my phone with my buddies, and we were trying to go see a country concert in Beaumont, and we were just like, one of us would call, and the next one would call. We were trying to be, the 18th caller to get these tickets. So I was reading that line for Double Daves and thought, of all the times that I called in my life, I don't think I ever won.
No.
And it made me think of, did anybody ever win? Did they do these promos? Did they ever give the tickets away? Or was this like some sort of sponsored call-in where the radio station got a cut of every call that came in?
Right.
It was like a money
they know
maker.
y'all are going to come back to watch again because you're going to try to win the next one.
Yes.
Keeps views
But it
up.
used to be a really big deal, like calling into radio shows to try to win things, and even calling into radio shows to like talk, and that's kind of gone by the wayside. If it's not the Paul Feinbaum show, you don't hear a lot of radio shows with call-ins as like a big part of what they're doing. So that's been like kind of I guess I've never examined how that element of life has changed over the last 15 or 20 years, but I just wondered how many people are calling to try to win Double Daves. I would. You should. Great pizza. Free pizza. Who doesn't like free pizza? It's one of the best things on the planet. All right, when we come back, Jason Howell and Recruiting Country on TexAgs Live. All right, we might be making TexAgs live history here because off the top of my head, I cannot ever remember me being the host of a TexAgs live show and having Jason Howell live and in person in studio with me. So this is essentially an in-home visit wrapped up in a TexAgs live segment. It's Recruiting Country, presented by American Momentum Bank, the privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan College Station. They are committed to helping our community prosper by offering you a wide array of personal and business banking solutions specifically designed to help build financial success with confidence and momentum on your side. As I mentioned, Jason Howell, my cohort on the recruiting coverage, and a guy who has probably done more interviews in the last 4 weeks than anybody in the country, has been churning them out like crazy. It has been, we're in the thick of camp season. That is why you're here for an entire week. You've taken up residence in College Station.
That's right.
Probably had a couple of your favorite burgers from your local haunts here.
Yeah, had a few.
And it has been, the camp circuit to me is always interesting because we either find new kids that we had no clue about, or we get a much better updated look at guys that have been on the radar.
Yeah.
So for you, who are some of the guys that have stood out in the last week or so at camp here at A&M?
Well, I'm going to start with quarterback out of Bernie Champion, Ryder Flugents. He's a guy that I saw his tape early on. He was, he maybe had an offer or two, but really hadn't blown up. Really an awesome athlete. It reminds me a lot of Eli.
Really?
But just because he's a triple jumper. He's set a school record this spring, and he's played multiple positions. He's played everywhere from safety to coming off the edge on defense, and he split time as a sophomore or as a freshman at Bernie Champion because you got a kid that's going off to Southern Miss that's going to be back in Julian Navarrete.
Yeah.
So you've got him splitting time, and he's showing just all kinds of versatility and athleticism. And
he was impressive. Didn't have to see him do anything other than walk into the facility. You're like, oh, that's a different looking athlete.
The thing that impressed me was how polished and refined he looked as a quarterback. I thought, there would be a few more rough edges there, and of course, he's still got some refining to do. But you saw him drop some dimes out there, and with nice compact throw motion, got the ball out, and made some quick decisions. I was really impressed with him.
He earned an offer for his performance at camp as a quarterback, and not as an athlete. I'll stick at quarterback. A guy that really stood out to both of us was Donald Tabron. Out of Michigan, class of 2028, has been the guy very early in that class, at least from a national perspective, that Texas A&M has sunk a lot of time into. And, I mean, there are times when you can tell about a player within the first couple of minutes of meeting him and watching him move around, and Donald Tabron was one of them. Extremely impressive. Just shaking his hand and talking to him, very mature kid. And then watching him throw the football was one of the more impressive camp performances I've seen from a quarterback since my time covering A&M football. He was off the charts. That kid's going to play on TV for a long time.
No doubt about it. And I'd go to the defensive side of the ball for one of my next ones. Linebacker Andre Alexander at IMG Academy, 2028, one of the top stud linebackers you'll find out there in the country. And we got to see it in person. I mean, he looks the part, and linebacker's a tough spot at these camps. There's just they got running backs running at them. They're trying to close gaps. They're trying to.
There's no pass. They can't tackle.
Yeah, it is all in space. How you move. They were doing this loop drill. The figure 8 drill where they're chasing their opponent. He could have lapped his guy. He caught him at the bottom of the second loop, and then they, before they got halfway through the figure 8, and everybody else is sitting there just trying to catch up to the guy at the very end. So, I mean, he brings that speed. He showed well in coverage and just really moved well all the way around. And then you throw on the tape, just a he brings the physicality. He's an all-around true linebacker. And again, like you mentioned with Donald Tabron, this is a kid just salt of the earth, great family. He's got a really strong supporting cast there, and I think there's a reason why he has every single school in the country all over, and A&M's making him a pretty big priority.
One of my favorite things about going to these camps is we get to, they open practices in fall camp and in spring. Well, we get to watch the coaches coach for about 15 minutes before they move the media out of there.
Yeah.
We get to watch these coaches really coach. And, Mike Elko doesn't do much. He kind of drives around the golf cart and evaluates with Derek Miller. But I have really enjoyed watching Adam Cushing coach.
Yeah.
And listening. And it's pretty easy whenever you go out there and you watch these offensive linemen in camp, some of which are good enough to play at Texas A&M. Some of them are just scratching the surface as high school players and may have been JV players. But they're coaching them with the same intent, with the same instruction.
Yeah.
To me, it's a good glimpse into what we do when you interview Sherrod Baker and he talks about Trooper Taylor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We get to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell you, you talk about that O-line stat. Those guys in the trenches, what they're doing, both sides of the ball. You've got not only Cushing and Tony Girardetti and Coach E, who everybody loves, but you've got those guys, Coach Wiz, Coach Mackey, Coach Watson. I know I'm leaving somebody else out, but anyway, those guys are running drills. They are coaching those guys up, and everybody's moving all at the same time. And let me tell you, these high-level guys that are coming in, they're taking official visits, they went to spring practice, or they're at camp participating. They see the intensity, they see the level of scrutiny and everything that they're
Attention
getting
to detail,
between rep to rep, and they love it. And that's what you really want. That you want those guys that are hungry to learn and take that in, and they want every rep. And that's what you're able to see when those guys are talking about that. They're eating that up, and that's a huge reason why I think we love what's coming together in this class, and it's what we're seeing out of the type of player they're getting on campus. Right?
And it's something. If you're a parent, you're wanting return on investment, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm paying for this camp.
Yeah.
I want something out of it, whether my kid's the best player there or the worst player there. I'm paying for an experience and for my kid to get better, and they're coaching them 1 to 100 all the same. And I agree with your point that these camps have become really important for the eval of the player, but also the player eval of the program.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's equally important nowadays in recruiting, because these coaches can get these kids on campus and press on them. And maybe they don't know how they fully are. They like them as a player. They check all the physical boxes that they need to compete in the SEC. But how much does he love football?
Oh, yeah.
How much does he love being coached? How much can I press on him, and how does he respond to being coached hard? These are all elements of the eval that the average fan doesn't know. So if A&M goes on a kid and they're all in and they're, they offer him, they brought him in on a visit, and then all of a sudden something starts changing, that should be sometimes a light bulb should go off to a lot of people going, all right, maybe it's something that they dug deeper into the eval and they found something that maybe doesn't jive with the culture they're trying to build.
Well, and you see it with how they've opened up spring practices. I think that's a big come to the meetings. You're here. Dive into the meetings. See me out there working with my guys. This is what you're getting, not on a game day when bullets are flying and we have to be locked in. But when it's every day, this is what your life is going to be like at Texas A&M.
Well, a lot of people are going to be asking about the official visitors. You just released the list for this upcoming weekend. We won't dive into that. But what have been some of your big takeaways through the first couple of official visit weekends? Obviously, some commitments have been a part of that. Some commitments have come out of camp when you look at the class of 28 Chance Archangel. But it has been, without the big shiny new toy that everybody knows, this has been a really, really productive part of the calendar for Mike Elko.
I think one of the big takeaways for me is they're not pushing necessarily for guys to just shut everything down and commit. Like, you see that first weekend. Go back and look at how many they've now picked up 4 commitments from that first weekend since they since they went home. Aston Whiteside, he came into the weekend with official visits planned to Miami and Kentucky. He went home. He had an idea he was going to maybe make that decision, but he wanted to think about it. And you know what? A&M could have really put the hammer down and said, "No, let's lock this in. Let's go." And you're seeing that with a lot of schools around the country where they're like, "No, let's get this done. Let's get everything, punched in and locked down." But I think what you're seeing is not necessarily, hey, if somebody's ready to commit, they're going to take it. But if somebody's still, I don't know, Frederick Arts, get home, let's see how it all works out. And you were there. We were sitting around at camp. That, pops up. And I think some of the coaches were just as surprised as everybody else. So,
for sure. And I'm Frederick Ard's probably been the highest rated guy that they've gotten in this recent run. But one of the things that about this staff is they implicitly trust their evaluation process. Yeah. And so while they are still in on Josh Dobson and they're still in on John Meredith, they have taken players that could potentially impact the secondary. When you look at Errol Kearns and Loya Velade, they're listed as athletes that could play in the secondary. But they never wavered on either one of those two. Even with them after the high-profile guy in Dobson or Meredith, they have been quietly really excited about their chances to land Velade and land Kearns, and also excited about what kind of players they are. Like for Errol Kearns, one of the things that really stood out for the A&M staff, he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Guess who else is a wrestler in this class? Hakeem Frampton.
Yeah.
Like, these are traits that they're looking for that through their evaluation process and how they compare the growth and development of a player in college and what gets drafted in the NFL, which should be your goal, is to have as many of your players drafted as possible. They fit the bill. So there was no hesitation for Velade or Kearns. I love that.
Yeah, I agree. They both bring a ton of speed to the table. I know Velade's got a 10.8 under his belt, and that was as a sophomore, I think. And then you've got Kearns, who just clocked like a 10.73 coming off a wrestling season.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's got, I think I said, you can't give me enough cornerbacks with cauliflower ear. And, it's, I love it. I love it is, and it's a mentality thing. It's a lot like these guys that come in, they want that hard coaching. They want to be, developed. And, everybody said, I want to be developed, but they like to dive in. They're students of the game. They love it, and they eat it. And these guys bring a little grit to that secondary that, especially at cornerback, that kind of gets, finesse position. No, these guys are bringing the dog to it.
Yeah, and they had one of those locked down already in Raylon Henry, who, by some accounts, maybe end up being the best of the bunch in the country, one of the top cover prospects.
I'll be honest, I think he's a little underrated just because he did lock in so early. And A&M made him a high top priority. And he locked in on his birthday at that South Carolina weekend. Saw the comeback win, made his announcement, and celebrated his birthday all in the same weekend. And he is a phenomenal athlete, ton of length, and like you said, I think he's not discussed enough. And we need to have Raylon Henry Appreciation Weekend as he's coming in on his OV.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about look, it's the number one class, rated the number one class in the country right now. When we come back on the other side of the break, I want to talk about some positions that of still need and some of the names at those positions. But I do want to highlight one area that they have just completely knocked it out of the park. The defensive line group, again, is off the charts good.
Yeah.
And we saw Zyron Forstall run around at camp a couple of weeks. Was it last week?
Yeah.
This kid looks like he could play right now. And not only that, so you mentioned Frederick Ards, and then you talk about Caden McCarty.
Yeah.
The pass rushing group that they've got, all with different builds and skill sets.
Yeah.
It's as good as we've seen it here.
Yeah, and all of them are every down type of players. But they can heat up that backfield in a hurry. They will make a quarterback want to move to tight end in a heartbeat. and yeah, I know. But yeah, that's a great group, and I love what they've done on the interior as well. Miles Smith and Elijah Patman. I mean, come on, those are some big body athletes in there,
and they'll still take another one in there. Shaggy Alexander was in.
We'll see, and yeah, they got Raiden Cook coming in, so we'll see. He's coming off a strong camp performance, earned his offer. So we'll see what goes on there and everything. But yeah, I love you got to love what they're doing there. I mean, the
return of Elijah Robinson's been as advertised.
Yeah, and between that and the secondary that we just got finished talking about, and what's remaining out there, I mean, geez, it's all special already.
With plenty on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about some of those positions where Texas A&M is still looking to make additions here in this 2027 recruiting class. More to come with Jason Howell on Recruiting Country here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, welcome back to TexAgs Live. Ryan Brauninger, Jason Howell with you on Recruiting Country, as we are every Wednesday. During the 10 o'clock hour, we were examining Texas A&M's #1 ranked recruiting class whenever we hit a commercial break. The Aggies have done plenty of work so far, but with still plenty of work to do, and they are going to welcome in a group of official visitors this weekend that is going to have some high-profile names on it at positions that are still kind of in flux. And we'll start at running back, where they have hosted Sherrod Baker on an official visit, but the key name that is headed into town, the name that is probably most well-known, even though Sherrod Baker, tremendous player, had an incredible junior year at DeSoto, but the guy that has led the headlines in the state at the position has been Landon Williams-Callis from Richmond Randall, who will be here this weekend. I don't know. If you ask me who A&M is going to sign at linebacker, I will tell you right now today, Jason, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And I'll also tell you that I don't really much worry about it because the guy that's running the room in Trooper Taylor is
– running back?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the best there is.
Yeah.
So whatever Trooper Taylor wants to do, I think he's going to be able to do it.
Well, we've seen him play this game a little bit too the last few recruiting cycles. I mean, he's flipped a guy late, Jamarian Morrow, and he pulled in
Carson
Baker there towards the end last cycle. So he knows how to play the long game, and he also knows how to lock in on a big time stud. And I think we're seeing Landon has been a priority since they got here. I mean, we're talking about a kid he's got the production. He's small, but we're talking about a stout kid. We're not talking about a kid with a slight frame. We're talking about a Barry Sanders-esque type of build, a Maurice Jones-Drew type of build. Jaquez Rogers, his uncle,
his cousin. Yeah.
Okay. Jaquez was very similar and highly productive, went to the league. I mean, this is what he has in his skill set. He's got that build. He's got the burst. He's a track guy. What's he running? A 10-7,
10-6,
whatever.
like
He's
that.
probably faster than that if he really wanted to focus on it or whatever.
But it is a highlight tape that rivals Devon A-Chains in the city of Houston. It is that type of player. But he's just been on the scene a lot longer than Devon was. I mean, this guy has been talked about in Greater Houston since his freshman year.
Jimbo offered him before his freshman year after camp.
He has, again, smaller running back, but just must-see television whenever he's running the football. And A&M's in a dogfight. Like, no question about it. They're in a dogfight with Oregon. LSU's in the mix. Texas trying to elbow their way in. I mean, this is not some foregone conclusion that A&M is going to land Landon Williams-Callis. There's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and I think Trooper is, he's a guy that can close that gap. I think this weekend you're going to see him get a lot of attention, and we'll see what happens.
What's funny is the Trooper's prowess on the recruiting trail and the caliber of athletes that he's landed in his room is what the opposing programs are using to recruit against A&M for Landon Williams-Callis. Is like, are you going to carry the ball with KJ Edwards there and Jamarian Morrow? And Trooper Taylor can go, look how many guys ran the football for us last year.
Well, and as a running back, I mean, that's also a selling point potentially.
Yeah.
It's, hey, look, you're not going to have to be that dude right off the bat, but we're going to get you enough touches where you can showcase your abilities, and you come in and find your rhythm. I mean, they've done it with Jamarian Morrow. They've done it with Reuben Owens.
Mm-hmm.
They're,
they did it with Le'Veon.
And they're setting KJ Edwards up for success as well. So I think there's going to be plenty of carries to go around in A&M's offense, especially with that big offensive line up front. And you mentioned LSU. LSU just picked up, I think, 2 running backs, and they're looking at another one. So, I mean, if you want to look at limited carries, you may want to look at who's coming in to the class.
And Oregon has been very active recruiting running backs across the country as well. And so it's not like I think it's just an insurance policy, even though Landon is the clear-cut number 1 for A&M, and I would say Sherrod Baker's 1A, 1B. Mm-hmm. But other schools in the country view Landon in that same vein, but you have to kind of protect yourself.
And I think what you have at A&M is you have a knowledge of what the depth chart looks like right now, like what is going to be in front of you for the next few years or right there with you for the next few years and competing. Where we all know if a school lacks depth, guess where they're going? They're going to that portal, baby.
Yeah.
They're going to tap it and see if they can bring somebody in to help shore up the position.
All right, so running back looks like, the primary targets, Sherrod Baker, Landon Williams, Callis. Yeah. Perhaps somebody emerges in the state. I know we know that they were combing through some tape to maybe uncover a gem, maybe like a KK Johnson in last class. And so I'm really interested to see who shows up perhaps at this camp on Thursday, tomorrow, the last prospect camp for skill players. I'll be interested to see if there's some names that show up that are kind of on that high eval board so the A&M coaches can get their eyes on them.
No doubt. And coming out, I want to address Sherrod Baker's visit and everything. I think A&M's definitely still in it. They're still looking. I just see the it's an uphill battle with Tech. If somebody can pull it off, though, it's Trooper Taylor. And I say that not just because of what he's done at A&M, and he's done it across multiple positions. You talk to Mark Matthews. You talk to Aaron Gregory.
Kennedy Brown.
You talk to all these, man, Trooper is that dude, man. He is the guy. He is a straw that really stirs the drink on the recruiting front.
You can look at all the photos that come out of the official visits and look at how many different positions. Trooper's in the photos with safeties, receivers. It don't matter.
Go look at Kamari Dorsey's. He did a whole video of his weekend in Aggieland, and it's a Trooper's making more than a cameo appearance in there.
We talked a little bit about the cornerback position, the defensive backfield. The haul they've got already is insanely good. But a lot of questions come in about John Meredith, Josh Dobson, where A&M sits. That's seemingly like a moving target.
It depends on who you ask.
Who you ask and when you ask them, right?
Exactly.
There were times that I was convinced that Josh Dobson was on his way to being in this Texas A&M class, far more so than John Meredith. And then in the last couple of weeks, that's even flipped. And I'm not saying that I am all in that John Meredith is going to be an Aggie, but it's fluctuated back and forth.
I still feel like there's a good chance one of those guys ends up in the class. I'm not sure who I'm going to be picking right now. Like if I'm predicting which one of those guys ends up in the class, I don't know. I don't know which one I'm going with. But I will say this: I think we find out here pretty soon. I think Dobson's talking about a July 1st date. Meredith has talked about a June date. Texas and A&M are going. They're going at it, man. It's a battle there with John, and like you said, depending on when, and with Josh, again, you've got some things that are playing out there, and I think Michigan, and he's got
South Carolina's he's kind of reemerged.
I know Auburn's in the mix there. Yeah. He's still throwing out LSU as well. So I don't know. There's a lot of competition for both of those guys. I think we'll see one or the other eventually. It's gonna be interesting.
Well, and like Dobson, where it was kind of not necessarily a clear path to him getting into the A&M class, but you felt good about it. Caden Henderson the same way. Like at one point we'd have felt really good about A&M landing Caden Henderson. It's just got a little bit more cloudy recently. But between him and Mekhi Allen, those seem like the two best bets for Travis Williams right now in the linebacker room. But I personally, this is just me talking, I've been bullish on this in-state linebacker crop this year. Yeah. So maybe they go back into the state and they look for somebody like Aston Whiteside. But Caden Henderson, I don't know. I'm in the same boat as I am with Dobson and Meredith.
Well, yeah, Notre Dame's definitely a player there. Mm-hmm. I think they have been. And if you've been discounting Notre Dame with Henderson, I don't know what to tell you. He's got Marcus Freeman.
I wouldn't throw Miami out either.
And Miami's coming on. As an in-state program there. But I don't know. I'm not. A&M's been in a good spot. There's still there's a ton of relationships there. He's visited multiple times. I think A&M still has a really good chance of seeing him in the class as well. But again, like you said, it is something that we're gonna have to wait watch play out.
Yeah, I would say that I was at like a 75% chance he'd end up in the A&M class a couple of weeks ago.
Did you think he would commit over the weekend, or did you think he would take his other visits?
I did think he would take his other visits.
Yeah, so this isn't a surprise that he's
no,
taking his
not
other
the visits, but I just think it's my percentage wouldn't be as high as 75% like it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But all right, man. Well, we'll see you at camp tomorrow. Back on it.
You know it.
Comfortable shoes and sunscreen. That's what we got.
Absolutely.
In the month of
Dropping
June.
my cell phone always.
All right, when we come back, Luke Evangelist, we're going to switch gears, talk a little Aggie basketball. Rolling right along toward the end of the show on a Wednesday morning here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, welcome back to TexAgs Live. Talk a little hoops here with TexAgs basketball analyst Luke Evangelist, who coming off an extended stay in the continent of Europe.
Yep.
What was your favorite stop?
Probably Florence. It was a lot of fun.
You're a paisan, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a little Italian. I got 50% on my dad's side, so it was fun to be back in the motherland. The food was great.
Is that the best food you ate was Florence?
Yeah, without a doubt. It was awesome.
How was the food in England?
So I did have a proper Sunday roast when I was in England. We went to. I didn't get any beans and toast or bangers and mash.
Nick is in here fixing the cameras and just spontaneously outbursts into a British accent.
That is pretty much how they talk, yeah. The best thing I had.
Did you do pie and mash?
No, the food is like very bland over there.
For sure.
The best part about the Sunday roast was it was like chicken, cauliflower, carrots. The best part was the gravy. That was like the only thing with seasoning. Everything else was literally not a speck of salt
just
or pepper.
Just put the chicken in the oven and let it.
Pretty much, yeah. It was just like when they say roasted,
their gravy's different than our gravy.
It was very thin. It was basically like a pan sauce.
Yeah.
But it was very flavorful. So I'm like, maybe they just put all the seasoning in that and they're like, dump it all on the plate. I don't know, but
gives you incentive to eat the sauce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy the sauce. But yeah, England was a lot of fun. As you know, as a fellow football fan, it was fun to get out to Wembley. Then we went to watch Brentford. So it was a lot of fun to just take in English football in the same passion that we in America take in college sports. It's very similar in how much they care. So it was a lot of fun to immerse myself in that
nobody
environment.
cares about any sport as much as you care about Aggie basketball. And
That's a good segue.
Yeah, it's why we have you in here. They started back summer workouts. Just first of all, what do those entail? Like, what are the goals for Bucky McMillan at this point in the calendar when they're so far away from playing games?
Yeah, I mean, it's different than what they experienced last year, because last year at that point they were still building the roster, still building the staff. So it was like, okay, let's just get as many people in here as we can and try and teach our system. So last year they couldn't even do 5-on-5. They had to obviously do the walk-on tryouts that I was jokingly a part of last year. And those guys were like a part of the 5-on-5. Like they had 8 healthy bodies for a majority of the summer. This summer, it's going to look more how summer workouts look across the country, where they've got the entire team already here. They obviously have 6 returners, 7 guys, if you include Lucas Walls, who've played in this system before or are familiar with it. So they're able to hit the ground running more quickly. A lot of this first couple of weeks is just going to be assessing the level of fitness that everyone is at. A lot of guys maybe were working harder in the 2 months since the season ended than some others. It's about getting everyone up to speed, because obviously the conditioning that it takes to play in this system is different than the system some of them may have come from in the past. So it's a lot of conditioning, a lot of working out, getting them regimented in what Darby Rich wants from them from a strength perspective. They're working out in the weight room, they're working out in the gym, getting a lot of shots up, and they're just kind of assessing what the level of readiness is for the guys that came from all different places, right? Like PJ Haggerty was working out in LA. You had Josh Irving was with Team USA. This is now their first couple of weeks to come together and make sure everyone's on the same page of doing things the way that Bucky and his staff want them to do it.
Where is Mackenzie Mbako in all this in terms of his availability to fully participate right now?
Yeah, so he's participating at the rate that is appropriate for his recovery. So he's in non-contact drills. When it comes to actually full speed practice, he's not there just yet, but they expect that he's going to be fully recovered to not just practice, because for him, he's got to get back up to that physicality level and that speed of, hey, if it was an arm injury, he could be running and conditioning, but it's a foot injury. So they got to work him back at a very slow rate, especially because he did have 2 injuries on that same foot all throughout last offseason and season. So they got to get him back up to speed slowly, and that's going to ultimately take him some more time to be a full participant in practice. But he's shooting. I mean, there was a video that he posted of him shooting logo threes. He's moving around just fine for what rate of recovery they need him to be, and so he's very much on track with his recovery, and I suspect sometime later this month you'll see him be a full participant in practice.
It's going to be difficult for them to replace Rashawn A.G., the leader, but also the player where do they go to replicate the production, but also what he meant to the locker room?
Yeah, on the locker room front, first they're expecting Cade Phillips from Tennessee to take on a big leadership role. That's what he was at Tennessee. He wasn't necessarily a star player, but you don't have to be the star player to add leadership values. And so they're counting on what they heard from Rick Barnes and a lot of other players that played with Cade, that he's going to be that vocal leader for this team. But that also means that they need Zach Clements and Mackenzie Mbako and Jamie Vincent, those 3 key returners, to really step up in terms of using their voice as the vocal leaders of this team. But for production, they're going to have to get it in the aggregate, right? It's pretty much like Moneyball. You're never going to be able to replace Rashawn Agee, so they need Cade Phillips' rebounding. They need Jamie Vincent to take a leap up for year 2 in this system in terms of his inside presence. They got to put weight on him. They need Zach Clements to be a little bit more physical. They're bringing in Jalen Shelley, who averaged over 6 rebounds a game. So you're not going to see anybody be a true double-double threat, but you'll have a lot of guys have that rebounding ability spread out between them.
Bucky was never shy about the deficiency of last year's team and really felt like, listening to him talk, probably got the most that he could out of that group.
Yeah.
But there were some inefficiencies that he wanted to address, on-ball defending, and then just the ability to alter shots as guys get close to the basket. How do you think he addressed those?
Oh, they did a great job. I mean, with the fellow Ryan Brauninger pipeline edition of Tyshawn Archie going from McNeese to A&M, he is one of the more ferocious on-ball defenders that you'll find at the mid-major level, and they're counting on him ultimately being able to translate that to the SEC. In terms of being able to alter shots, they've got bigger guards, which is, we all know the issue last year was they probably had the smallest backcourt in the entire SEC, and so it's really hard to ask 5'11" Jakari Lane and 6' Josh Holloway to be physical defenders one-on-one and then be able to alter shots. Now that they've got 6'3" Bryson Warren, 6'4" PJ Haggerty, 6'5" Lucas Walls, they're going to be able to be better one-on-one defenders on the perimeter who can not just guard their man and prevent them from getting in the lane, but also with that last-second closeout. There's just having a couple more inches on a guy gives him more reach and more ability to alter shots. So that's on the perimeter. And then in the interior, obviously bringing in Cade Phillips, who's 6'9", really physical shot blocker, and then Jalen Shelley, who is 6'8", 6'9". They love what he can do defensively. So I like having more length. They went from last year, their top 10 rotation was like bottom 110 in the country in average height. This year, the average height of their top 10 rotation of what I think it should be would have been top 70 in the country last year. So they've addressed the height without a doubt.
Do you think any of the incoming freshmen have a chance to make an impact?
That's a good question, because for probably the last 6 months, Nico Mundy graduating early and being with the team since December, I would have said, I think Nico is probably, out of him and Josh Irving, 2 top 60 guys, I probably would see Nico playing first. But Josh Irving had a really strong end to his senior year, which then led to him getting invited to the Team USA national team camp for their U18 FIBA tournament. And then not only did he make the top, I think they invited like 30 guys, he was in the final like 19 guys that made the final cut before they cut it down to 12. And so from what I saw from different personalities and scouts who were at that workout, they were like, Josh Irving he's got more potential than I think a lot of people saw in his high school days. So if he's just continuing to get better, I'm excited to see what Josh Irving can do if he can continue that momentum that he had in Colorado Springs. And if he can bring that to summer workouts, I would not be surprised to see Josh Irving get some minutes early on as a freshman.
All right, Luke, I appreciate you joining me. I know you had a busy morning of playing video games and such.
And getting the FIFA World Cup draft for the TexAgs staff.
Yeah, important things going on in Luke Evangelos' world. Appreciate Luke stopping in. We will close the show when we come back. Kaylee Dreyer and Sydney Clevenger. I have no idea what this is going to be about. On TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Hey everybody, David Nuno here, TexAgs Live. here with Sheldon and Danny Shelley of Aggieland Hydration. Sheldon, I want to start off with you. What is Aggieland Hydration and who do you serve?
So we're a mobile IV company. We serve the Bryan College Station area, and we are licensed under our medical director to work anywhere in the state of Texas, but given the name, we're focused on the Bryan College Station area.
Danny, how do appointments work?
So when a client calls in, they can call into our main line, or we have an online booking process. We get a quick little bit of information, name, date of birth, the address of where we're going to go, kind of what's going on. We give that information over to our nurse, and usually they can arrive within 30 minutes to an hour.
Danny, who's this geared towards? Is it more for like sick people, athletes, people who've been partying? Who's this for?
All the above.
Okay.
And it just really depends on what you're getting after. Sheldon travels a lot, so I give him an IV once a week. Some people get it just as needed, like when they're sick or if they've been working, in the yard all weekend, if they just had a big workout, stuff like that.
And all right, Sheldon, help me out. Why do I not just drink a bunch of water or juice? Like, why go the IV route?
Yeah, so drinking water orally, you don't absorb it all. So getting a liter of fluids into your bloodstream directly, you feel the results better. And it's equivalent to drinking about almost 2.5 gallons of water.
All right, that's Aggieland Hydration. How do people check you out?
They can go to our website at aggielandhydrationandinjectables.com.
Or you can call them up at 979-217-1561. It is Aggieland Hydration.
Final segment of the show here on a Wednesday morning, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I'm Ryan Brauninger inside the Rollo Insurance Studios. I want to thank Kendall Stowers for hanging out with us, her debut in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, the most athletic human that's ever been over in that chair, and probably one of the most athletic human beings that's ever been in this studio, and that's counting all the athletes that come in. But I will be of no use with this segment, I don't think, because we welcome in Kaylee Dreyer, Sydney Clevenger, for a semi-new segment called In Case You Missed It, where I think y'all just update the old people on what's actually happened on social media and seeing if we can interpret what it actually means.
That's exactly it.
Okay, y'all go ahead. Take it away.
First thing today, y'all have been talking about Brendan Sorsby a lot, but he did post something on his Instagram story, supposedly, because there's a screenshot circulating online that says, bet on yourself. This could definitely not be real, but it is circulating all over Twitter.
That looks real.
Why would he post this?
It's more evidence that he should not be eligible if this is legitimate.
Exactly.
Like, no feel. Of course, the audacity that's come out of this whole situation from the people at Texas Tech and him has been like unstomachable. Like, no way you are serious about the quotes that you're saying. So maybe he's that audacious of a guy.
Yeah, I'd believe it.
Maybe he's got a date that he's worried about. He's trying to hype himself up. Bet on yourself. Yeah, bet on yourself.
I don't think that's a great thing to post after what just happened. But
No,
moving on. So as we know, Bear Harrison got hit 23 times this season and walked 41 times. And this tweet shows that he walked 1.1 miles going from home base to first, just on hit by pitches and walks.
That's pretty wild. Post the meme, Reese. Post the meme. Do you have it? Do I care if he gets hits? No, he just gets on base.
Yes.
He gets on base, Sydney. Do you know what that's from?
Mm-mm.
Moneyball. See, this is like enlightening y'all.
Yeah.
It'll help you with your baseball coverage.
Yes.
What else you got?
So Messi played last night at Auburn, and they played Iceland. He did score, which sucks because obviously he didn't whenever they played here. But one comment said, best thing that has happened in that stadium since the kick six.
Something to think about. I did see also a tweet that Lionel Messi is 2-0 in SEC stadiums. So he's got
nice.
Yeah, I think
14
they won
more.
3-0.
Yeah, so he's 2-0, which is a better record than Arkansas football last year.
Whoa. That's crazy.
In SEC stadiums.
And then last thing we have for you today. So Tom Brady released a premium line of organic coconut water, and it's called Good Nut. It's available exclusively on GoPuff, and we were gonna have it today for us to try, but GoPuff doesn't open till noon, so we will have it next
What's
week.
What's GoPuff?
It's like
a grocery store.
Yeah, it's like a grocery store that you order from,
But you
like
can't
you
go-
DoorDash from it. Like you can
There's no
only have it
storefront?
delivered. Like they have a location, but you can only get stuff delivered.
They
from
have a
there.
location here locally?
Yes.
It's
And
called-
Good Nut is there. So, and it comes in regular
You know-
flavored and chocolate and sparkling. So we can try that on air next week. What flavor would you like to try next week, Ronnie?
Reese, can you help me?
What flavor of Good Nut do you want, Bronny? Come on.
Oh my god.
This is real, guys.
I know it's real. But I'm glad that this is happening at 10:50 and not at 8:50 when Olin's on air.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
Because the places his mind would go. What were the flavors?
Regular, so just regular coconut water. Then there's chocolate, and there's also sparkling.
Do y'all like coconut water?
It's all right.
My wife drinks it.
I feel like
It's good
regular
for you.
might be good.
Yeah.
I'm a chocolate guy. What about you, Reese?
Chocolate
I'm going to pass on
You
the
don't
Good
like
Nut.
coconut? You don't want any Good Nut?
No, I'm good.
Kendall, do you have an opinion on this? Or would you like to stay off camera?
Definitely not chocolate.
Nice
I know
job.
that much.
Okay. Nice job, guys.
Thank
Great.
you.
Great work.
Thank you.
Close the show in an incredibly uncomfortable spot, which seemed to be like y'all
It's
held
just coconut water.
I know y'all held that till the very end, which good because I don't know that I would have gotten through the entire segment had y'all started with that. Sydney Clevenger, Kaylee Dreyer. In case you missed it, if they keep bringing bits like this to the show, this segment has staying power. I will say that. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you again, Kendall, Kaylee, Sydney, Luke, Howell, the whole crew got me through a Wednesday morning on TexAgs. A lot of stuff to get to this upcoming weekend. Football camp tomorrow, official visits. Congratulations again, Braden Montgomery. What a rock star. I hope he hits 1,000 more home runs in his Major League Baseball career. Nick Savage in the chair with you tomorrow as we get you ready for the weekend on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelry.